today we are able to congratulate Torbjørn Bull Jensen with the MiCA license. Congrats, Torbjørn.
Thank you so much, and I guess congratulates to K33, not just me as a person, but the whole company. Yeah, it's a great milestone, and it's nice to have the formal stamp done and dusted.
Yeah, and what is the meaning of this MiCA license for you as a company? Mm-hmm.
So for us, MiCA is existential. So on the one side, we actually have to have the license to be able to keep operating. But it's not just something we need to keep business going as is. It's also an enabler for us to scale and grow more efficiently. So it's going to help us both expanding geographically, where we now can do a passporting of our license and start addressing different markets more specifically, not only relying on reverse solicitations, clients coming to us. It really helps us when we are working with financial institutions. Like basically, to partner with traditional financial institutions, we have to be licensed ourselves, and it's also enabling us to now realize some of the prepared partnerships, or at least takes us further and closer to kind of having those materialize. And then lastly, as one of the few companies in Europe, I mean, we're talking about around 200 companies in total across Europe, down from like 2,500 crypto providers, we see this as an opportunity to form strategic partnerships with other providers that don't necessarily get MiCA themselves, that either might look for an exit in the form of an M&A or a partner model where they can join forces. And even some of those who have obtained MiCA are now kind of faced with the reality of having to live with MiCA. So living with MiCA is probably going to be way harder than obtaining it, which means that joining forces can be a huge benefit, and in that regard, we intend to opportunistically explore exciting opportunities.
If we take these words part by part, if we start on where are you going to launch your services? Is it in the Nordic? You, in principle, can do it in all of Europe.
Yes, so our main focus will continue to be on the private wealth segment, right? High net worth individuals, family offices, the intermediaries servicing these clients, corporate clients. So that's very much a segment which is not necessarily linked to a specific jurisdiction. That said, we are very clearly a Nordic player. We're listed in Sweden, we're operating out of Norway, and we're offering some of the best rates in the world, or the best rates in the world when it comes to Swedish kroner, Danish kroner, Norwegian kroner, and of course also euro. So for us it will be very natural for the first round of passporting, where we kind of tell the regulator that we are explicitly going to address the Nordic region and take Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland as a starting point. That does not mean putting boots on the ground or necessarily kind of putting ads on the metro, but it means going after those high-value clients that we service, but also doing that more actively in these neighboring countries.
If we look at some of those countries, Denmark has proved to be difficult for crypto exchanges because of the tax regulations. Is that also the case when it comes to institutions and high net worth individuals?
So I think both Denmark and Sweden has been tough for retail. And partly because of tax regulations and partly because of tax uncertainties. But when it comes to companies using stable coins in their operation and needing to on-ramp and off-ramp, those are present in both Sweden and Denmark as well. When it comes to family offices, building a balance sheet in Bitcoin, I mean, it's not like it's a tax nightmare, it's solvable. Those we can service, and we're also now developing structures that are also kind of tax optimized, different ways to wrap a Bitcoin exposure such that you can have more preferential tax treatment also when you hold it in a company. So long story short, yes, these markets are very tough from a retail point of view. Sweden is about to become overcrowded, but for us there's a great opportunity in the same segment that we have serviced. Well, and we have already kind of clients from these markets that has come to us. We're not only servicing Norway, we have clients globally already.
Maybe Sweden is overserviced, as you say, but it is the largest market in the capital way, and it's a mature market when it comes to technology and that transformation. So Will then Sweden be the battleground between you guys and Firi and Safello and all the other players?
No. So the others might battle it out and beef it out over retail, but we are not going after retail. We're going after the larger clients, the larger corporate clients and investors, those who need deep liquidity, an account manager, a partner rather than just an execution venue, those who need liquidity services where they can borrow against their Bitcoin, those who want research or kind of managed services. So it's a very different segment than the retail segment. So I don't see that as a battle. I see us as building this industry together, as servicing different parts of the kind of market.
We don't have to fight it out, but of course Safello is also building a presence in banks and institutions. Firi is also building a B2B platform or client base. So, but you will meet them on the institutional side or on the high net worth side, won't you?
Yeah, of course there will always be some overlap, right? But the thing is that we are a sharpshooter. We don't service small retail. We only do this. This is what we do every day. That's the only thing we do. That gives me the confidence that we can succeed because we are specialized.
Will this also be the opening for the breakthrough when it comes to banks? Because we have talked several times among the last couple of years perhaps that sometimes the banks will also move not only into stablecoins but also into crypto, but maybe embedded in some way or the other. Will this improve that opportunity?
Maybe, but I'm still a bit... So I was way more bullish when Mika first came about the possibility of banks entering the space under Mika. But what we see now is that a lot of banks are very hesitant still because obtaining a full Mika license, even though they could do it as a notification, is a heavy undertaking on the bank. So I think we'll have way more partnerships where it's not necessarily the bank that offers the crypto, but they enter a partnership with a crypto provider like K33, and then you can put the services very closely. You can even put it in the same app. I mean, there's you can put it as closely as you like, but I think you'll have more partnership-driven growth here. Those partnerships become easier when the crypto provider is Mika approved. I mean, it's a necessity. So I think it's going to be easier for the partnerships, but I think it'll still take some years until you see the banks truly embracing this. I think you'll see it first from the independent wealth managers, from the smaller private banks, from the brokers, from the kind of the longer tail of smaller players before we see it from the big mainstream players.
It sounded also in your first answer that you have some partnerships lining up in the coming months.
Well, I wouldn't say months, but we definitely hold or have a lot of kind of ongoing conversations, and for many of those, us obtaining Mika has been like a non-negotiable kind of requirement. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily the only requirement. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily kind of ready to launch tomorrow, but it means that we are a good way further down the line of kind of fully kind of realizing some of these dialogues and turning it into business.
You also mentioned M&A, and you're in a position to do that, and you also have bought quite a lot of share in the Canadian company. And in Sweden, you have sort of a collaboration with BTCX, and they have also invited different companies in the space to talk. So could BTCX or Gubit be one candidate?
We work very well with them, so who knows? We see that there is going to be a lot of consolidation. Consolidating this industry is not our core focus. Our core focus is building out the service. But what we see is also that there are players that complement our offering, and we see synergies, and then it makes sense to be open to the idea of joining forces and leveraging the fact that we have the license to help other businesses that are well functioning but don't necessarily get the license continue to exist and continue to deliver value. So, yeah.
There has been a long road to this milestone, and yesterday it was also known that Bitmint, the first crypto company in Norway, is closing down. And you have also been critical about Mika. Is that part of the explanation, or how do you view the development where companies like Bitmint has to close down?
I mean, it's definitely a key driver. Mika is putting over-regulation on the crypto space. It's, as Sturle wrote on X, like the founder of Bitmint, is basically treating a crypto exchange, and in Bitmint's case, and a crypto exchange not even doing custody, as if it was a systemically important bank almost, and it's not. It should be effectively regulated on AML, which crypto exchanges was. It should not be allowed to scam people, which it isn't. But the level of detailed kind of over-regulation documentation need is an overkill. It's great for companies like K33 because it means that the competition is weakening. Others are shutting down, and it creates a barrier to entry. But for society, I think that's a loss.
Do you hope for a Mika 2 then, or are you now focusing on utilizing the opportunities in Mika 1?
Mika 2?
Yeah, Mika 2, I meant that.
Well, Mika 2 is not going to be lighter. So, and even when the EU tries to reduce regulatory burden and create exemptions for small firms, etc., they actually just make it more difficult, because you then have to assess, are you small? And you have to, then suddenly it's another 1,000 pages of material to read and interpret and discuss. And then you have your interpretation, the FSA might have another interpretation. So I expect the regulatory framework around Mika to continue to evolve. Now it's evolving from the different guidings, the Q&As, like from the precedents that have been set by the different regulators from ESMA, etc. There'll probably be a new regulation that expands more into DeFi. But it's a difficult topic, but it's a pressing one. Like, you see the popularity of platforms like Polymarket, which really triggers a lot of questions of what is it? Is it betting? Is it gambling? Is it unlicensed gambling? Is it DeFi? So there will be more regulation. We are prepared for that. And while we don't necessarily think all of the regulation is necessarily good for society, as a business, our job is to stay compliant, to operate within the framework, to advise and share our view in the forums for giving feedback. But then, kind of when the standard is set, is just to meet it.
In the market that we are in right now, Bitcoin has had some beatings for the last half year or so. But you have a positive view, as I understand it, both long-term and short-term through your research department. And at the same time, you are underlining everything that is happening in the TradFi section with Wall Street, with stable coins, with tokenization and whatever. Are we at an inflection point right now between this new industry and the old industry when it comes to finance?
Well, definitely. I think right now we're witnessing like a serious maturation of the market, where Wall Street has gone from not even thinking about Bitcoin to laughing about Bitcoin to making money from an ETF on Bitcoin to actually now moving actually on chain. Like when you see giants like Morgan Stanley through E-Trade and Schwab rolling out spot on-chain trading, that's what's telling you like, oh, this actually is just a starting point of finance moving closer into the cryptosphere. And yes, Bitcoin has been kind of beaten up price-wise, but I mean, volatility is a part of the game if you're in Bitcoin. So if you zoom out, I mean, it's been a great journey, and there's nothing indicating that that journey is over. And looking structurally at the Bitcoin market, it looks like most likely we might have bottomed out. I mean, macro could change that picture rapidly, but as it looks right now, it looks as if the worst is behind us, while we at the same time have a new wave of institutional adoption in the space.